going to make Jasmine available as a permanent product as well. So as you look at this beautiful, delicate flower, it's amazing to see the process as they go out very, very early in the morning. They'll go out about 3 o'clock in the morning with headlamps on their heads to pick this beautiful, delicate flower. And the reason they have to go out so early is because as soon as the sun comes up and you get those sun rays that hit the flower, those volatile compounds that are on the petal will actually evaporate, right? That's what volatile means, it's going to evaporate. So they have to do it before the sun hits the flower. And because they go in so early, they're able to finish. Usually they're finished work by about 8 a.m., which means they still have the entire day to spend with their family. So that this isn't a disruption to their regular day. And it's a beautiful way for them to make an income by doing this. And all of the women that are out there picking the flowers are so happy. It's very social for them. I met a woman who had been picking for 50 years. She said, it makes me happy. Everyone should do this. So as they bring the baskets in, they are weighed. So those blossoms that they pick are weighed each day. They're recorded in a book, and then they are paid depending on where they are. It could be daily, it could be weekly, it could be monthly, depending on what they choose. And I love that we're able to create so many jobs for so many amazing people. So when we look at Jasmine, if we go to the next slide here. So we look at Jasmine, obviously it's going to be in that beautiful touch as we have with the neroli. It takes 21,000 petals to produce 1 5 ml bottle of oil. So it takes the collector a day and a half worth of work just to produce 1 bottle of oil. That's how precious it is. And so as you use this oil, I hope that you'll think about those hands that have picked those flowers for you, and know that you've made a difference in their lives. So what is an absolute? Now, jasmine is not an essential oil. It's actually considered more of an essence or an extraction. And the reason for that is because the petals are so delicate that if steam or heat or any type of moisture was exposed to these petals, what would happen is they would just become kind of a mushy clump. And you wouldn't have the steam that could penetrate through those petals to release the aromatics from the sacs, or from that gland. And so they go through a process where they are extracting the waxes and the oils from the petal, and that becomes kind of a solid mass called concrete. And then the waxes are separated in the second process. Waxes are separated from the aromatics, and that becomes the absolute. Absolutes are much more concentrated than essential oils. Very exquisite, very beautiful, very intense. So when you look at the jasmine flower, right? Flower is sprung back like this, and so your emotion there is liberated to be free. And this one, when I really want to open up my heart, is I put jasmine on. I have jasmine over my heart right now so that I can connect with each and every one of you. So it gives you the feeling of euphoria and splendor, joy. Great heart oil. So let's look at the science. So angiotensin is a peptide hormone that causes vasoconstriction and can increase blood pressure. Limonene, which is a key component in jasmine, has actually been found to inhibit this pathway. So that helps us to maintain healthy blood pressure levels, right? So put it over the heart, over the pulse points, to make sure you have and maintain a healthy blood pressure level. So they've also found through research, shocking, these are things we know, right? But I find it fascinating that science is proving this, that jasmine will also help with the physiological measures of relaxation through menstrual cycles as well as labor. So a wonderful way to rub it over the abdomen, to have, they actually through the research they did back massages as well as inhalation. So you also have the central nervous system controls most functions in the body, right? It's really important that we have a well-functioning central nervous system. So I had a dear friend of mine years ago who prided herself each year on winning Rose and Jasmine through our yearly promotion. And this particular year, she didn't win her Jasmine. Well, she had a compromised central nervous system that plagued her body. And for her, she would be down for the count for months at a time and basically live off of her couch. And she said when she would take Jasmine and put it up on the roof of her mouth, that would actually pull her up and out of her funk and got her off of her couch and got her functioning normally again. And so a wonderful way to use Jasmine. So how potent is a drop? Right? You take out a drop of oil. So if you took out a drop of grapefruit oil, put it in your hand, and distributed it evenly all over your entire body, how many molecules would be delivered to each and every cell? I've got like, what, 100 trillion cells in our body? How many molecules would be delivered to each cell? Any idea? Any guesses? How about 6.1 million molecules delivered to every single cell from one drop of grapefruit oil? It's kind of mind-boggling, right? I challenged our scientists. I'm like, are you sure? Are you really sure? When we say essential oils are potent, when we say they're concentrated, it is true. It's absolutely true. But sometimes we think, well, because one drop is great, more drops is even better. So we talk about neat application, which is application undiluted on the skin. Is more better? Is neat application better? So I want to talk a little bit about the value of dilution. So when you look at the epidermis, you actually have 5 layers that exist there. And the epidermis is intended as a protective barrier, right? To keep the temperature where it's supposed to be, to keep pathogens from entering our body, kind of as that waterproof barrier as well, to protect our bodies and organs. Now, we can shave, right? Ladies, as we shave our legs and our armpits, right, we can do that without bleeding, because there's no blood flow in that epidermis. You have to go down to the dermis, which is where the blood capillaries, right, the hair follicles, all that fun stuff exists. So if we shave a little too hard, that's when we might see some blood. So as we apply our essential oils on the surface of the skin, we need to penetrate beyond that epidermis level and get into the dermis. Because essential oils are volatile compounds, that means they're going to evaporate, right? So much of what we're putting on the skin is actually going out into the air. You get that flash off that actually occurs. But if you take those oils and you combine them with fractionated coconut oil, because they're a larger molecular size, we're actually going to coat those volatile compounds, protect them, so that they can penetrate deeper into the tissue. That's going to be a slower absorption, but it's going to be a much more effective, deeper absorption into the tissue, which is wonderful. So when we look at what are the effective carrier oils, if you use a carrier oil that is too large in molecular size, it's going to be greasy and it's actually not going to absorb down into the tissue. If you use one that has too small of a molecular size, you have the same problem as just using an essential oil by itself. You're going to have to flash off, it's not going to protect. Why we love fractionated coconut oil is because of the medium chain triglycerides that exist. And they are the perfect size to not only provide the protection, but also that penetration into the tissue, and they have that absorbability, which is wonderful. Another thing to actually gain greater benefit to essential oil application is massaging the tissue before you apply. So if you'll massage for just a few seconds before you apply the oil, what you're doing is you're dilating those blood vessels. You're stimulating blood flow so that when you apply that oil, it's going to be absorbed much quicker into the bloodstream, okay? So I love that we're providing jasmine and neroli in a touch, because sometimes you say, oh, it's diluted, so it's not as effective. It's actually more effective. You're getting greater benefit. And so we're really, really excited about this application method. But I'm really excited because we have royalty in the house today. Yeah? Are you excited? Yes? Actually, we invited the Queen, but she couldn't come today. But I think you'll be a little bit more excited because I've got another Queen to introduce you to. And this